What does leadership mean to me? That's a tough question. Leadership is a big responsibility. I remember when I joined the Air Force and lots of my friends and family said, you'll be able to just boss people around and tell them what to do because you're an officer, but nothing could be further from the truth. Being a good leader in the military is the same as being a good leader in corporate world. You actually have to bring people with you. And I think one of the key things that I'm really hot on is you need to be a good facilitator and you need to be available for people. So what my team tell me, which is great, is that I'm very approachable and I'm always available for my team. So I always prioritise. If they ring me and they say they've got a problem and they want to talk with me and get some support, anything like that, I always prioritise it. In fact, I cancel other things so that I'm there for them. Leadership changed from HR to the operations role because, much bigger team, so a team of 30 to a team of 180. So much bigger teams are more complex and it's harder. And I think for probably about 12 months I had massive imposter syndrome because I'm not an engineer, I'm not technical. There's a lot of acronyms in Generation, so learning all of those was pretty tricky. For the first year I was really careful to not sort of wade in and just start making change. I really took about a year to just learn a bit about the business before making any change. But and the other bit is you're accountable for a lot more. I went from a budget of 5 million to 100 million. So, that's a lot more accountability. It's absolutely critical to put yourself outside your comfort zone if you want to grow in your career, and whether that's just to grow in your career technically or grow as a leader. If you're not outside your comfort zone, you're probably not growing. Resilience is pretty key. I'm pretty resilient. My capacity and my energy to take on complex work, big change and lots of things at once is pretty high. It's not often that I run out of capacity or energy. So I think that resilience has served me well. And I think when you're particularly in a senior leadership role in a big asset intensive business like this, it's important to have that capacity and resilience. I think the other one is honesty and openness. It's probably a value of mine, but I think it's a really good skill to practice as a leader. I talk with my team a lot about radical transparency, so I tell them a lot of stuff because what I've found is it helps explain the why behind a lot of things really well. 3 pieces of advice to someone who is an emerging leader. One, and this is probably more so for women, we tend to doubt ourselves more than men do. And my advice is if someone comes to you and says, hey, do you want to do this really challenging project or do you want to do this big cool role? If your gut says, oh, that sounds exciting, but your logic takes over and goes, oh, I'm just not really sure, just say yes and worry about the details later. Because what we tend to do, and I've done it myself, is go, gosh, I'm not really sure. Let me have a think about that. And then the ship's sailed and you're off the radar. So jump in and say yes. So another piece of advice that I would give to aspiring leaders is don't rescue your team. So when they stuff up, don't give them a hug and say, it's okay. Actually, hold their toes to the fire on the fact that they stuffed up, but don't punish them and coach them through it around, right, how do we learn from this? There's a book called Turn the Ship Around, and it's about this Navy commander who took over a submarine and crew who were really, really useless and not performing well at all. And it's a really good lesson around not telling your people what to do. Actually, how do you empower them to come to you and say, hey, I intend to do this, and you give them some feedback, but they're kind of owning the decision rather than coming to me and saying, oh, what do you do? 3 traits of a great leader, I think courage. You have lots of moments of doubt and am I doing the right thing? I've been a big driver of change, and when you drive change, people get wobbly, and I'm a pretty caring person too, so I sort of got to have the courage to kind of lean in and know that you're on the right path. Authenticity is really, really key. I think years ago when I first started work, people would say, oh, you have your work persona and then your home persona, which I don't think is very authentic. You want people to see the real you. And the other one is, it's probably true for my leadership, is being quite creative and innovative. I think about problems in quite different ways, and I ask lots of questions, and I think that has really empowered people in the business to bring their ideas forward. Being a woman in leadership, it can be tough. I mean, I'm a single mum and I've raised my children on my own for 15 years. And now they're 20 and 21 and they've flown the coop. But, those 15 years were really hard because for 12 of those years I was in an executive role. So, that's pretty tough. Advice for female leaders is just be brave. If someone asks you if you want to undertake a challenge, just say yes and worry about how you're going to do it later or whether you're qualified, because they wouldn't have asked you if they didn't think you were. Build networks with other female leaders and be open and honest with them and ask for advice and feedback, because you'll get some little gems along the way that give you a bit of a boost and some confidence. And the other thing is, don't feel that you have to be perfect all the time. We're all human and we all make mistakes. As women, we are quite empathetic, we're quite caring, and that's actually a really great trait to bring to a leadership role, and it means a lot to people.